talk to him.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Webb?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sullivan?
Here.
Councilmember Aubrey?
Here.
Councilmember Lucero?
Here.
Councilmember McFall?
Here.
Please stand for the invocation, pledge of allegiance. Councilman Lucero will lead us in the invocation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I often do. Let us bow our heads, please. Holy Spirit, source of all life, we gather together as the elected officials of our community, charged by the people to discern our future together. We are a diverse body brought together by the same Spirit. We pray that we will be faithful to the work at hand, to set aside our own personal agendas, to seek out the greater good. Open our minds and our hearts to listen in for your will for us and bestow upon us your wisdom and grace. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I like that I could hear that woman saying the pledge so loud.
Thank you.
Well, Mr.
I
Mayor,
think I saw someone out there. Did you?
I think we have a very special guest from the North Pole here at our city council meeting
Really?
tonight to talk a little bit about a visit to Hazel Park on Christmas Eve and Christmas morning.
Really? Oh, there he
Look,
is.
it's Santa Claus.
Hey, Santa Claus! Ho, ho, ho!
Welcome, Santa.
Oh,
How's
thank you
things-
for having me.
How's things in the North Pole?
Busy this time of year.
Elves are staying all over the place.
The elves are getting ready for a big night. The big
Good.
night.
It's good.
Miss Claus is making a lot of cookies, but I still look forward to getting some on Christmas Eve when I visit all the good boys and girls of Hazel Park. And I'd like to say Merry Christmas to all the residents of Hazel Park.
Well,
Merry Christmas.
Merry
to you.
Christmas
Merry
to you.
Christmas, Santa.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for being here. We look forward to seeing you on the holiday.
Thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule and stopping by.
Of course. I look forward to seeing you on Christmas Eve.
Like,
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Mr. Mayor, isn't it great that Santa Claus was able to take time out of his busy schedule to come here to Hazel Park to give a Christmas message to all the good boys and girls here in Hazel Park ahead of Christmas so they can be ready for him to make an appearance. Thank you, Santa. That was great.
Thank you. And that'll move us on down to the next agenda item, approval of the agenda.
Move approval of the agenda, Mr. Mayor.
Support.
Any dissension, discussion? We have a new agenda. Civic announcements. I'd like to open up the civic announcements. Anyone who has any civic announcements from the audience? Any civic announcements from the city council? I have one. I'd like to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year if we don't have another meeting before then. And I hope that everybody can spend some time with their family and friends and reflect upon what the year has meant to you. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we'll close civic announcements. Public discussion. We'll open up public discussion. Anyone from the audience like to come up and talk? Got a slip over there? No, thank you, sir. The Thomas Majeski. Yes, sir. Oh,
You,
name and address, please, and please speak into the microphone so that people on TV can see you.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Matajasic. I own a piece of property at 23823 DeQuinder in Hazel Park. I've owned this property since 2010. I'm not a newcomer to your city. I've been in the city for 10 years. I made a large investment in the property. I've paid taxes in the property. I've upkept the property. As far as I've never had the fire department, the police department ever come to the property.
Okay.
What I'm asking for today is for the council to reconsider my application for marijuana. I need a letter from the city to continue my application with the state. The state has approved my application. My finance is all approved. We're all certified by a CPA. My criminal record is completely clear. And I'm asking the council to reconsider the building for a license for marijuana.
Medical,
Pardon me?
medical marijuana license?
Medical marijuana, yes.
Well, we pretty much have closed the door on the medical marijuana licenses at that point, and we actually rewrote the ordinance to reflect the recreational, and we just got that into the final touches of application process. So it would be behooved on you to investigate that further if you want to reapply.
His letter actually.
I don't understand.
Well, hold on one second. His letter actually states that he applied for a Class C grow and a processing facility.
Right, you want to grow in a processing, correct?
Right.
Not a not
My
a,
letter is still, I'm still pending.
You are still pending for those licenses. It is
Right,
up to
just like
council if they choose to issue or do not issue. There is nothing before council today on this agenda with respect to issuing any license. Pre-approval from the state does not in any way guarantee that you are in any way entitled to a license here in the city of Hazel Park. You have no constitutional right to a license. Licenses are granted by the Hazel Park City Council on a competitive basis based upon the criteria that they have set forth, and the issuance of those licenses is up to them. So at this point, your license remains.
I have a letter dated here August 15th. And it says you do not have an approval for either license. Now, I sent a letter, I put a letter into the council and to all the members, and I asked them to either deny or approve my license. I read the ordinance of the city, and the city has two choices on my license: either grant it or approve it. And I'm asking the city council to either grant it or approve it. Send me a letter, let me know what you want to do, and we can go from there.
Did you mean grant it or deny it?
Pardon me?
Were you referring to two choices, grant it or deny it?
I
You said grant it or approve it, and just kind of
I said-
clarify, are you saying
oh,
grant it or
deny it or approve it, I'm sorry. I'd like both of those, the first.
I'm sure you would.
But I would like, the thing is I would like already to know where I stand.
I believe at this point, we've got other applicants we haven't made any decisions on either. So at this point, I think we're just sitting at a stalemate until we come back around to the new process.
we haven't denied any applications, so all of the applications
wouldn't-
are still
I
pending.
wouldn't say we haven't denied any.
I would
We
say
only-
we have not denied.
We've only denied,
We have not denied.
Yeah, we have not denied any, but we are
Well,
still
what I was,
in
what
the
I was
approval
told in
process.
the beginning is we had 62 applications that were in. And all the applications had to be in by the 28th of February. If they weren't in by the 28th of February, there would not be any more applications.
of 18.
That's as far as what I read now. If there's something different, tell me.
What happened was the state lagged behind 6 months in their process, so we extended it 6 months. And at that point, we were just waiting for the ones that were already approved, the
Yeah,
opportunity to get some of their licenses approved through the state. It was only the ones that were already approved.
The thing is
That's all I know. We haven't really changed anything else.
I've been in this city for 10 years. I bought that property, you have it on record. I paid $230,000 for that property. I spent over $100,000 in taxes in 10 years in your city. I spent $25,000 on this licensing process. I've got $350,000 invested in this project, and the building meets the zoning. I qualify as far as my financial record and my criminal record, and I get a red light. And I don't even get a red light. What I get is, you're pending, Tom, we're holding your application. What I want is, I would like the council to make a decision to either approve my application or deny it.
We don't have to make the,
Okay.
You can deny it.
There is no.
we don't have
The
to-
ordinance,
there
the
is-
we
ordinance
do not
says you
have
do.
to make a
what?
decision.
There
The
is-
ordinance says you do.
You know what?
No, we don't.
No. And let me be clear, there, you do not have to make a decision. There is nothing that he can do to compel you to make a decision here tonight. There is, and there is absolutely, he has absolutely no right to a license either, okay? We were very clear with the process. The process is a competitive process. He has not been denied. Again, he made an application under the medical
You're
marijuana.
just in line with
Right,
everybody else.
he is with that. Right now, we are reviewing the process. We are also have amended the ordinance for recreational marijuana as well. And soon, the city council will be putting out an application for recreational marijuana. And at that time, I expect a series of decisions to be made by the city council on all the licenses before them. Until such time, he cannot compel you to do a thing. He has no right to a license whatsoever. He may request it of you, but you are not obliged to grant it.
You know, Tom, the other thing is too, is that you have to understand that the law is moving rapidly. They just had the voters again,
Speak into the microphone a little bit.
the law
I have-
is changing
I have trouble with hearing.
rapidly.
I couldn't wear my hearing aids. Both my ears have a real bad infection.
All right, can you hear me now?
I hear you great.
Okay. So there was additional elections, laws have been changing, evolving. City council's been working very diligently to stay up and to stay on top of that. We just put in the new ordinance as well to consider what the voters had done with the recreational and the state had done. And unless there has been a denial received by someone, the applications are on a holding pattern right now. And the council has been working diligently to update everything that they're doing, okay? So when there's a competitive process, when there is many, many people wanting what there's only a few of, it's gonna be what it is. However, the recreational has been adopted by the city council. They have been in the works with the ordinance, and they are working feverishly here at the city level for
Get the
application.
application done, hope to have the
Yes.
application for recreational done soon.
Yes.
The only thing I like everything that you're saying to me, but the thing is no one's telling me how many licenses were given out. No one's telling me where the licenses were giving out. I don't know I don't know what's going on. It's all a big secret.
No secret. It was all done at open city council meetings. It has been published, it has been discussed, it has been
Well, okay,
wide
how-
open.
If it's not a secret, how many licenses have been given out?
You can get that information, that's for provisioning centers. There are
Provisioning centers.
other licenses that have been issued for grows, processing, and things like that, and you can get that information from the Hazel Park City Clerk's office. They have it all there for you, Tom.
I don't remember how many.
I don't remember how many either totally.
Well, in addition, remember that council, when they granted conditional licensing, with the change of the governorship too, there was some changes at the state level that just put just a backlog of months and months and months and months. So the council, out of fairness, was extending dates so that it wasn't going to be unfair to anybody because of the state's backlog. So if anything, the council's really gone over and above to make sure of this process. So keeping applications on file is a very responsible thing to do.
Absolutely.
The thing is when somebody tells me, I'm gonna put your application on hold, that means to me, no.
So be it.
You can take it any way you want to take it, but it's not a no. What it is
No,
that
I mean.
the application is still
The thing
pending.
is,
You may or may not be issued a license by this body, but it is up to this body, and they will do so based on the criteria that they set. Once they take the final definitive actions, you'll know. Like I said, we're redoing the recreational ordinance, and the city attorney has clearly told you, okay, why we're doing that and what this process is. So I think you're just gonna have to be patient for a little while longer.
A lot of people out there that feel they qualify,
Right.
just like you, Tom.
I,
And we have to,
the thing is,
there's only so many licenses to hand out, and we've reached.
the way I feel, they could qualify all they want. I'm only concerned with me, and I'm concerned with the city.
I'm sure that the other people feel the same way you do.
Right.
They're concerned with how they feel.
If I wasn't a
I'm
good.
sure they don't care how you feel.
If I wasn't a good property owner in Hazel Park for 10 years, didn't cause anybody any trouble, I come along here, I didn't embrace the
I'm
marijuana.
sure there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way you do, Tom. And I'm not being facetious or rude here,
Well,
but you're making it very,
it's
you're
nice
making
to
it very
agree-
difficult.
It's nice to agree with me.
You're
but-
making it very difficult to, you stand there and say, well, I want it for me, but I don't care what those other people want. Let me tell you, maybe they qualify just like you.
They don't
Maybe they're
care what
just
I
like
want.
you.
I
We're not gonna
guarantee
sit
you,
here
they
and
don't
debate.
care what I want
Mayor,
either.
his
I'm
time
going to
has
shut you
expired.
down and call it a draw. And if you want to just go back and research everything, you go ahead.
What I want is, I want
Thank
a
you, sir.
denial
Have a
or
nice
approval.
day.
Thank you, Tom.
Any other public comments? I have Helene Zach here to talk to our county commissioner.
Thank you. Elaine Zach, Oakland County Commissioner. I am working my tail off, which is really exciting. We're doing lots of great things. Just a summary of some of the meetings that I've been at in the last week. I was meeting with two of our newer deputy county execs talking about affordable housing and initiatives that. Today I was in a meeting with our health department staff and two deputy county execs talking about mental health and the opportunity, what can we do? Last week in Finance Committee, we had our year-end report where we settle up the budget. And some of the things, new programs that I'm excited about, we did allocate some funding for Title X family planning services, $500,000. And let me explain that some of the federal funding has been cut. Planned Parenthood was our provider for family planning and women's health care services. When we go through Oakland County accreditation, health accreditation, we have to account to the state saying, how do we allow for family planning services? And so until that worked out, this is kind of gap funding. Exciting opportunity coming up. We did set aside up to $4 million for a future new health program. And this we have a federally qualified health plan organization called Honor Health. And they presently have offices in several nonprofits, Easter Seals, Oakland Family Services. They have some in schools, they're in Pontiac, and they are bringing quality health care to low-income people. And we are looking to partner with them so that build out some space in both of our health department locations so that when somebody comes in for immunization or women, children's services, we can walk somebody across the hall for diabetes health care. Or part of the program, we can have some mental health counseling in our health department. So more details will be coming out. It's very creative. We would invest a year or two, and then we feel that Honor Health will be able to pull down federal dollars that will pay for the ongoing health care. And so it's the integration.
Yeah,
So this is really wonderful.
at least there's an option, yes.
What?
At least there's an option available.
Absolutely, to get people regular health care. Had another item, the Michigan indigent defense issue. The state of Michigan passed legislation saying that people who can't afford attorneys need to be fairly represented in court cases. It's a big process. I know the city of Hazel Park has had to make changes.
We are intimately familiar with it.
Oh, I know, all units of government. But what we approved now is a collaborative agreement where the county is working with the local units of government to provide arraignment services on weekends at the jail and other times. And it makes sense for all of us to pull together. So that's coming up. We also have a supportive resolution regarding to help the transit process. There was legislation introduced in the state, the Municipal Partnership Act, and this will allow, we need to amend that act. It will allow units of government to come together and create different funding authorities. And this would be the legislation that would allow Macomb, Oakland, and Wayne to come together to consider a new transit plan and put ballot language before the voters. And so Oakland County has posted an opportunity to hire a transit manager or a consulting group so that we can really work on some type of regional transit plan that works. More to be continued. We also this week approved a new position for a Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer. Two of the areas that I was most concerned about in our county, one of them was our whole human resources, diversity, inclusion initiative. We're very archaic in our human resources department as far as policy, merit rules, welcoming, inclusion, and so forth. So this is an opportunity for someone to really work with April Lynch. And it's really, how do we welcome everybody into the workforce as well as the county? And are we being sensitive in all of our initiatives? So I think it's a great opportunity. Finally, I went to the Oakland County Business Roundtable meeting for the first time in several years. I quit going several years ago because it was the same old, same old. And this group had been on hiatus this last year. And our new county exec has met with the business leaders and is working on re-energizing this group as the business consultant, business initiative. There was a lot of wonderful energy in the room. One of our deputy county execs, Sean Carlson, laid out the vision for Oakland County. They put out a bid to bring consultants in to evaluate our economic development efforts. Clearly, Dave Coulter, coming from next door, believes in not only going overseas for jobs, but really growing business throughout our county. So reprioritizing some of our economic development, examining what do we do well, where are we going. So I thought it was really a wonderful event this morning. Any questions for me?
No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I believe I have another envelope here for Jesse Robertson.
Jesse Robertson, 23353 Hoover Avenue. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have come before you tonight to talk about a subject important to and familiar to all of us, our roads. As many are aware, due to a few unfortunate delays, our city has spent most of the entire year with major road construction going on at least one of our important streets. This has, of course, been a headache not just for our motorists, but also for the business owners along these roads who rely upon this traffic to stay open and to put food on their tables at home. The current situation has been far from ideal and painless for any of us. The situation became far more frustrating when, after months of 9 Mile Road being partly barricaded and a number of weeks of work being on break, we received our first real snowfall of the year. So we had to deal with not just the danger of snowy and icy roads, but such roads that had holes large enough to trap a car. Thankfully, since then, the weather has improved, becoming far more mild, and we've yet to see any of the snow stick. And we can be equally pleased that with the improving weather, we've seen actual work on the roads resume, and at substantially greater pace than before. While we've all had some complaints, I do think we can at least give part of our thanks to the increased pace to the words and urging of a certain mayor of ours.
I was frustrated.
So, for that, still, I give you my thanks, Mayor Webb.
Thank you.
Now, I know that we're not done seeing all this work. While we cross our fingers for the weather to hold, I understand it's still likely that 9 Mile won't be finished by the rest of the year and we start getting into the deepest part of winter. And by spring, we hope to see new work started on some of the remaining streets of the city. I think Woodward Heights.
Next year.
Yes. And all this comes while the state continues to work on I-75 for the next how many years?
It's a couple more years, yeah.
Compounding our headaches.
5 more.
Hopefully, in spite of this project dragging on, we might be able to see 9 Mile clear of traffic cones when the worst of the winter weather
I
returns.
think 9 Mile could go a little faster if we can keep cars from driving into wet concrete and falling in holes.
Additionally, I put myself at ease by reminding myself that in time, this will all be finished. It might not seem like it.
It wasn't the best laid plan on their part. I think in our part, we did everything possible to pursue this, yes.
Some things we just can't control ourselves. It's up to others. But in time, it should be all finished, and we'll be able to enjoy a nicer, much more drivable set of roads in Hazel Park. I know that I only need to go along South John R. to get a reminder of what sort of roads. So those roads are smooth. Speaking of the winter weather, while I know it's considered a bit of a dirty word around here, it's something we still have to think about, so I'm going to say it. Snow. It happens. It's been 4 weeks since we got buried in a nasty winter storm. And I do recall back then that our city manager, Mr. Klobuchar, commented that in spite of there being a declared snow emergency, that the city had found poor compliance with the request to clear the streets of vehicles. And this impacted the city's ability to clear the streets of snow and kind of prolonged the misery for everybody. I do also remember that last year we had many of the same issues and a discussion on ways to try to improve compliance. I actually feel it might be worth giving some consideration to new ideas, such as possibly changing our ordinances, namely to allow for snow emergencies to temporarily loosen some certain parking restrictions. Hazel Park is kind of scarce on parking for the number of cars we have. While in theory there's enough driveway space, we don't all work on the same schedule or even on consistent schedules, and this can make the arrangements and planning for everybody to find some place to put their car during a snow emergency a bit difficult.
Right.
So in some cases, I wonder if it might be preferable for some people to, say, park on lawns temporarily instead of out in the street. I know that, thankfully, we've managed to avoid severe snow for almost a month now. And while I'm hoping not to jinx us, it looks like we have a chance to escape December without a major storm. But I do feel...
Why did you say that out loud?
You've done it to us now.
I'm sorry.
A lot.
Have a couple weeks left.
I'll ship all my snow to your house.
I do feel it important that we should prepare now while we are clear of snow and not wait until like last year when we were already buried in snow, so that great things can continue to happen in Hazel Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more thing. If it wasn't for the administration jumping on the ball there and getting that, the comments back to the contractor and making sure that they're staying on schedule, this would never got as fast as it did.
We live to serve. Tom is here. Are you done with public discussion?
I was going to wrap it up and go on the consent agenda. Public discussion's over.
Tom is here. He can update you. I think we are going to finish 9 Mile this construction season.
I'll have them up at
Okay.
the comments
So-
at the end here. We can wrap everything up. Thank you. Consent agenda, motion to approve the revised agenda, 1 through 10.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move approval of the consent agenda items 1 through 10.
Support.
Any more discussion? Dissension? Hearing none, it passes. Is there anyone from Walgreens that would like to come up? There's 1843 East 8 Mile, the little strip mall down there is a Walgreens moved across the street. Anyone representing them? 21615 John R. United Staffing Agency, anyone here? And Bashami's Party Store on 1065, anyone here? All right, seeing no one, we'll take care of that. Moves us down to the administrative reports, item 1. An ordinance to amend Title 8, Health and Safety, Chapter 2, Abandoned Vacant Structures, Section 8.02.010. Findings to include the findings of deterioration or deteriorating areas, and amend Section 8.02.020, definitions to include the definition of deteriorated or deteriorating areas. Second reading.
Mr. Mayor, we just need to make sure that a motion is made.
Can we
Motion
just
supported.
get a motion, please?
Vote is taken.
Have a motion?
I'll move approval of the ordinance on the second reading.
I have a support.
I will support.
Any discussion? Dissension? They get past that time.
There it goes.
Number 2, PC case 19-03A, Special Land Use Green Garden Child Development Center. This one got slipped in at the last minute. Anyone have any comments?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, Jeff Campbell is here.
So actually, we've got folks from Green Garden here too. But this is, so they temporarily had to move their location last year, or is it earlier this year? For February, I think, so of this year, because they're located on South John R, when a pipe burst, and then they've had a waiting list ever since they've opened. And basically what happened is as they fixed their old property, they discovered they had room for their new property, which would be located in the Church of Christ, which I believe will be a baby to toddler range at Church of Christ. Preschool age at the Church of Christ. They are solely renting out part of the structure and are actually renting it and have dealt with Oakland County equalization on the tax front. So basically, and they have a drive-through that would make it easy for drop-off and pickup, which is one of the major things. And it is a special land use in an RB district. The Planning Commission unanimously approved.
I have a couple questions. Are they seeking to move here permanently?
Well, they're going to have a second location there
Okay.
permanently.
So my question being then, because this is being held in a church and that is a non-taxable property, are you receiving taxes from this business?
They met with Oakland County Equalization to determine that very matter.
Okay.
Yes.
So that's a yes. Okay, I just want to make sure. There we go.
I get a motion.
I'll move approval of the special land use case 19-03A for Green Garden Child Development Center.
Support.
Any more discussion? Dissension? You're good to go.
I'd also like to say congratulations on growing your business.
We're happy to have you.
Would you like to come up and have a comment on your business?
We
Since you're here?
We actually are on TV tonight.
My name is Erica Tank. I own the Green Garden. This is actually our 4th location. We have 2 in Madison Heights and now 2 in Hazel Park. So our first in Hazel Park, we opened in 2016. As Jeff mentioned, we had a flood there in February, which was pretty devastating. So we moved into the Church of Christ, really thinking it was going to be a temporary situation, but it just worked out. It was a good fit for us to have the space. It was helpful for the church to have the added income. It's a good location. And as Jeff mentioned, we've always had a waiting list at Green Garden. So it gave us the opportunity to grow, to serve more families, to meet the growing need for childcare in the city of Hazel Park. We're the only privately owned childcare center in Hazel Park, which we're pretty excited to be able to add another location that we can serve even more families. So we're happy to continue growing. We're looking forward to many more years within the city. And now we have the 2 locations. Our first location on John R has been renovated and it's beautiful. And we will soon be updating some of the classrooms in the church as well. So we're happy happy to be here. So thank you for.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, before we move on, the city attorney pointed out to me that that last motion should have been made subject, approved, including the recommendations set forth by the administration with respect to the operation of this facility. And those recommendations are, pardon me, the applicant must install a Knox box, a signed property maintenance agreement submitted by the applicant property owner. The agreement must be provided to the city. The applicant must submit a building permit to expand the classroom. A sign permit must be submitted, and the applicant must provide the city with their license approval from the state of Michigan.
Oh, I thought that was included in there. It meant
If
it
you
to-
can just,
I would include all of the
and if
recommendations.
the
But
second.
it was included with the special land use anyways.
Right, yep.
It usually is wrapped in with a special land.
We're just making sure that, for the record, that it's in there, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It makes Melissa comfortable, so that makes us all more comfortable.
Okay, boards and commissions.
Mr. Mayor, we have an application from youth assistance from Dawn Rice.
Council, it's your pleasure.
I'd move approval of putting Dawn Rice on youth assistance.
I'll support.
Dissension, discussion. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, at some point, we are going to have a discussion about appointments to boards and commissions. We have several expired commissioners on various different boards, and hopefully we can get to that at the first of the year,
Along with everything else.
along with everything else.
We do have lots of applicants, so it's been something that we've discussed, and I
Right.
talked to
We've
you
got
about
a lot
that
of
today.
topics going on at the same time.
We have many,
Roads and everything else.
have-
Our administration's been a little
and
taxed.
we've been just a skosh busy with all of these things, and we'll continue to be busy. So I'm just putting that on your radar.
Busy's good.
All right, new business. Anyone have any new business they want to bring up? Hearing none. Communications from department heads. We'll start with Tom Jones, since he so anxiously wants to come up.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Updates on 9 Mile. Update is they're shooting to wrap up pretty much Saturday, and they're going to go into next week, maybe a few days. What they're working on right now is crack filling the joints. They did the center lanes already, so right now the outer lanes are barricaded off. The weather hasn't really cooperated the last couple days, but so they've asked today to go a few more days into next week. But all cones and everything should be disappearing for real this time very soon. Permanent markings will be in the springtime. It's too late for the good quality paint to be put down. Just a reminder also, being that it's newer concrete, that we put signage up, that we'll be using sand on 9 Mile, the entire from border to border. Also from 10 Mile, on John R. from 10 Mile to just south of Woodward Heights. That'll also be sand this year, so I need everybody to use caution when driving on these roads. And I've called off the rest of the winter, so no more snow.
Thanks, Tom.
Doing that. Leaf program, we're still, we've got our trucks out doing our one pass. It takes quite a while to do that. We actually should be wrapping up this week. And then as the weather, if it's still good, we'll continue to put the trucks out there and hit some areas that we might have hit early on where leaves have not all, might have fell after we've gone through. We do try to field those calls and keep everything rolling.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Mr. Mayor, I want to thank Tom and his crew. They did a fantastic job this past week on my street and the streets in my neighborhood, cleaning up the leaves that were on the ground in the street. Fantastic. So, good job street cleaning.
Mr. Young, Water Department. You think I was going to let you off?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
All have a great holiday and a safe one. Just a reminder, as we've spoke before about winterizing your homes, we're going to get cold again, so let's take a look at where our outside spigots are, cover them up. Your crawl spaces, please check the venting to make sure that they're secure so that the cold air doesn't blow under your house and freeze up your pipes. To let everybody know how easy it is to freeze a pipe, last week when the gas company was doing excavations for their reroute of the gas lines over there on Manatee, they left the holes open overnight, and we had a house service line freeze. So it doesn't take a lot to freeze a water line. So take a look around your house and just look for any drafts or anything that's entering in that's blowing on top of a water line. And if you can cover them up and take care of them, you'll be good.
For the general public, why I've got you here, the testing on our water is not, our water is bad or anything. The regulations have changed dramatically according to the new state law, and we're just trying to make sure that we follow their laws in which, so we can stay in compliance.
That's correct. This is a new rule by the state of Michigan. Every city is under this rule. Some of us have different items that we're taking care of versus each other, but we're all under the same rule across the board. The water coming into the city does not contain any type of lead or anything as it travels through the city. These are individual targeted locations that may be serviced with a lead service line. So the state's just wanting us to take precautions as we move forward with the programs.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell? Nothing? Fire chief? Police chief next? Good evening.
Welcome. Thank you.
Christmas is here.
Yes.
Water your tree every day. Shut your lights off when you're not home. I mean by Christmas lights, not just your lights. And Christmas Day, when you guys are making your meals, make sure somebody's always watching over them. Christmas kitchen fires are huge. So pay attention to what you're cooking. Any questions from me?
Nice job decorating, by the way.
Thank you.
Fire hall looks great.
Thank you.
We do not drop frozen turkeys into buckets of hot grease.
No, never. Not once.
Cause the fire.
And if you're going to fry a turkey, do it in your driveway, not in your garage.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
We've had lots of those incidences over the years.
Yes.
Thank
That's why we're in business.
you.
Good night.
Thank you. You too. Police chief, I want to say thank you. The Blue Light Service was well done, well attended. I believe it was a nice event, as it is every year, to respect those fallen first responders.
Thank you, even though I don't deserve credit for that. That's Father Bob and Debbie Swoford. But yeah,
I think you help a little.
Little, but it's a great event, and it's thank you for all attending. It's an emotional event, bagpipes and everything. It's really neat, and I'm glad they do that every year. I'm not going to be like Jesse and call out certain things to jinx anything, but crime rates have been really good this year. I don't want to talk about anything specific, so I'm not going to. But we are out checking our businesses a little more often because this time of year, unfortunately, theft does go up. Robbery tends to go up, that kind of thing. So if you're out shopping, be aware of your surroundings. Don't bury your head in your phone and just know what's going on around you. If you can, park in lit areas and take a look around before you start walking and tell people where you're going. Thank you to all the residents that tell us what's going on, that are watching their neighbors, calling us. That makes us the most effective. So it's on you that we are doing well and have good crime rates. So I think that's about it. Any questions?
I guess one more thing would be to add, if you have a package coming, try to contact your neighbor or someone you know to keep an eye on the package so it doesn't get taken off your porch.
Definitely. I have retired neighbors, and they are great. They're better than cameras. They know what goes on.
We actually have lockers at 7-Eleven that you can have your packages delivered to as well. So they're secure. And those are free, which is nice.
Jesse mentioned of allowing parking during snow emergencies and that kind on the lawn. I know it's not my place, and maybe more for Tom and Tim, but I know that the sidewalks aren't set up for being driven on, and the lawns and that kind of thing. I know it can damage water.
Sewer lines.
Yeah, sewer lines. So that's just something to think about.
Thank you.
Communications from councilperson. Aubrey.
You're gonna give the city attorney and the city manager, the city clerk a chance?
I was going to get around to it.
You guys are getting the.
But I'll go up to the city attorney, sorry.
I'd like to wish everyone a very happy holiday and also Merry Christmas and New Year's, whatever you may celebrate. And hopefully this new year is going to be filled with good health and prosperity for everyone. And our city will flourish as it's been growing all year. Looking forward to the new year. Thank you.
Mr. Klobuchar?
Mr. Mayor, you want to echo you and Chief Buchholz's comments about the blue light ceremony that was held at St. Justin's Church last week, and thank everybody on council who showed up for that. I think that it's very important that we gather to remember the sacrifices made by our police officers, firefighters, and other first responders. The jobs that they have are not risk-free, and I think you can see by reading the paper and watching the news in the past month or so, there have been a number of shootings and injuries and things like that taking place to those folks who are in uniformed services at the local level, and we need to always remember that they put their lives on the line to protect us. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. Not only are we having holiday season this year, but we're also welcoming in the 2020s this year. And when you look back 10 years ago, in 2009, when Hazel Park was facing a very uncertain future after the property value crash and in the midst of one of the most dire recessions, the biggest recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s. Every city that had a taxable value per capita like Hazel Park's in South Oakland and South Michigan went under state control, except for the city of Hazel Park. Hazel Park.
Why did they go under state control?
They went under state control because I like to think because they weren't as well managed, but I think it is because our people, they made the sacrifices.
That was a setup.
I will get to it. I have a plan.
Never
I'm
played
bringing
volleyball.
it in at the end. I'm bringing it in. I'm not going to forget it.
Underhand.
But it was sacrifices made by our employees, sacrifices made by our retirees, and sacrifices made by our residents who are wise enough and smart enough to pass those millages. So we're the only city like us that remain master of our own destiny. And I think we show that despite the fact that Michigan's system of municipal finance remains fundamentally broken, I wasn't going to forget it. Hazel Park was able to survive, and now we are thriving. So I look forward to this new decade, these 20s, with optimism and hope for the future, and I think we're going to do well. We went from holding on by our fingernails to now being a place that is sought as a destination point for restaurants and homeowners, and we're a hot market. So that's good. We need to continue to strike while the iron's hot and make the most of this opportunity. So we're welcoming in the 20s. God bless us all. I hope they are more uneventful than the zeros, and that decade was a zero of a decade, and the teens, and we will continue to build a great Hazel Park. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. City Clerk, any comments you would like to let the public know?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Thank you.
Succinct.
Councilperson Aubrey.
So want to wish everybody a good holiday, whichever holiday it is you celebrate. And I look forward to seeing everyone in January. So I hope everybody has a safe and happy New Year. And please remember to utilize your services such as Lyft, Uber, thank you. Your friends, your parents, whoever you need to make sure that you have a good, fun, safe holiday.
Thank you. Councilperson McFall.
I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. And if you can, please shop local. We do have stores and businesses here in the city. So whenever possible, please shop small and shop local.
Is it?
Yep.
Councilman Carroll.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Santa again for visiting. It's always a pleasure. ask everybody to, in this colder weather in the winter season, to keep an eye out on your older neighbors, you know, just keep making sure they are still around, maybe help them keep the sidewalks cleared. And in the immortal words of Tom Selman, if you love somebody, tell them. If you have children, hug them every day and tell them you love them. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
And a big congratulations to Morgan Webb. I won't steal the mayor's thunder, but it was a very special day for his daughter today.
I'll elaborate a little more. I've been down at Fox Theater all day with my daughter. I had a bunch of family come in. I got to get back to a few of them. And we were
Just
all
a
down
few.
there. Yeah, just a few. And she graduated with 2 BSs in business and also in finance. And I'm so proud of her getting through that in 4.5 years and working her tail off and getting out of it debt-free.
Oh, wow.
Thank you. And any student that goes to college, take the extra time if it takes another 6 months or another year to get through college. Work and pay your way through. That financial debt is a killer. It's 20 years with a bad debt and will trash your credit.
Crippling.
So what's a little hard work, a little extra time, you got plenty of your life to get to. Well, thank you. Sorry, Mayor Pro Tem?
I kind of want to echo everybody else's statements. Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, whatever holiday you celebrate. Definitely be aware of neighbors that may be, maybe not as physically able or maybe not have close family relatives. Keep an eye on them as this cold weather ensues. Have a safe and get home safely on New Year's if you go out and celebrate. As Amy said, Uber, Lyft, friends, family, plan ahead. Don't make the excuse of, oh, I didn't think about it. Get back to your loved ones, and we'll see you all in the new year.
I did forget, I was going to announce, because you know that the Lunch with Santa is this Saturday at the Recreation Center.
Yeah.
Right, but I believe it's sold out already.
Oh, is it?
It's already
All right.
done.
Yep, it's sold out.
That goes pretty quick.
Yep,
Anyways, I got a
it's
couple
sold
of
out.
things I want to get out. Done?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, everyone, and Happy New Year. And I just want to bring up a couple of things we've accomplished. It's really been a big win in our city. It's the new revitalization of our parks. This was a great donation from Sutar, and how and all the community at large that volunteered and participated in that process. Also, the revitalization of our neighborhoods over the last few months and last year of new home builds, remodeling of existing homes, and we have a lot of excitement with a lot of young entrepreneurs and millennials at first. I know they hate to be called millennials, but the 30-year-olds and thereabouts moving into our area, starting their families after going through college and living in Midtown for a while or wherever else they went to school. And moving in our area because they think it's the cool, hip place to be. And we are centrally located, along with having the new businesses being built at the racetrack and having the opportunities to attract those job opportunities for those individuals that may want to work close to home as well. But on a little more serious note, I think we've all been successful as a city. And where we've been in the past to where we are now, this is a win-win all the way around. But here's a serious note. We all get through the holidays. We're all happy, a lot of us, most of us. But there's people that suffer from depression. And we need to pick up those people that may otherwise not have family or friends to be there for them, and not let them take a turn where they may think about suicide or any other way of hurting themselves. If you are you're thinking about, if anyone watches this or thinking about hurting themselves or anything, please call a friend, police department, fire department. There's always an opportunity for someone to avert that kind of tragedy. And there's always someone out there that does care about you. And opioids is another problem that we've had to face a lot of in the last couple of years, more so this year, I think. I'm seeing the tragedies that's been on TV lately with people just, dying in their homes from being stupid or depressed again. Depression. It's a major concern in this country. And with all the coalitions and all the people reaching out, I think we have to really kind of focus our points a little more on those that we can help. And I want to say that with the deepest sincerity. Thank you. Have a good Christmas. Happy New Year. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor.
Support?
Dissension? Thank you.